It's time for us to write bigger checks. It's time for us to open up all of our community centers. It's time for us to make sure that our after-school programs are funded. That we need to, as my grandmother would say, we need to deal with the devil in the details. And what she said many times was that you need to stay busy. We need to keep a challenge before our young people. We need to keep a challenge before them. And she would say something like this. She said that an empty, oh goodness, what's this? No, not the empty wagon. Come on, give it to me. It's the devil's workshop. Idle mind. Idle mind. See. Devil was busy right there. That an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So at Concerned Black Clergy, we are gently pushing to say that we want to call clergy who have community space to open up our doors, to get our members engaged in working with young people. We need to create programming that diverts young people away from gangs, that diverts young people away from the kind of idleness. But we can't do this by passing the plate. We can't do this by the nickels and dimes and small dollars that come. We need corporate Atlanta come and help us. We need philanthropic Atlanta come to the table with us, and government. We need to work on some serious solutions. I don't have all the answers today, but I know that this is a pandemic. I saw how we dealt globally with a viral pandemic. I know that we can deal in this state and in this city, the city that produced a Martin Luther King Jr. I know that we in this state can deal with the pandemic of violence. We must see the emergency of it. We must act as though this fire is spreading in a way. It's threatening each and every one of us. If it's a fire in Bankhead, trust me, there'll be a fire in Buckhead. If it's a fire on Atlanta Avenue, there will be a fire up in Alpharetta. So we need to come together to deal with the pandemic of gun violence. I want to bring now my friend, the past president of Concerned Black Clergy, the Reverend Timothy McDonald, pastor of the First Iconium Baptist Church, the leader beloved.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here with Black Push, Elder Sean Smith, Concerned Black Clergy, Organized Labor, AME Church, community-based organizations who are addressing the issue of gun violence. Just on yesterday, in a brief cursory review of some of the news that was taking place, every channel, ABC, NBC, CBS, was addressing the issue of gun violence. It was reported that approximately 100 Americans die per day from gun violence. 100 per day from gun violence. The number one cause of death for black men between the ages of 18 and 45 is not COVID, it's not heart, it is gun violence. Grady Hospital has testified that there's not a single day, not a single night that they are not treating someone who has been shot. We realize that this is a very serious issue, and we did not get here overnight, and we're not going to get through it overnight. The time has come for the community to come together to seek solutions and not just continue to talk about the problems. And that's where I commend Black Push and how they plan to pull the community together, law enforcement, the faith community, labor, business community, elected officials, and a round table so that we could talk about long-term, how do we plan to address this very serious issue that is plaguing and has been plaguing our communities for far too long. Even in my own family, my wife has had two great nephews in the last 6 months who lost their lives through gun violence. We got to do something about these guns, and we have to stop hiding behind the Second Amendment. It's time for our nation to do the right thing. It's time for gun manufacturers to be called to task. It's time that we call to task elected officials who would even make it okay to get weapons without even a registration, without a background check, without any kind of precautions that would protect everyday citizens from the threat of going to a mall and being shot. And even now we know just coming to a church and coming to Bible study, and you cannot make it back home. This madness has to stop. And I believe that we have the wherewithal to stop it. And I believe that when the faith community and law enforcement and business and labor and community leaders and just parents and teachers, when all of us get together and decide, it's all about having a decision and having a desire to end this madness. Will this madness ever cease? And I believe we're at that point. We're tired of all of these funerals. We're tired of seeing the blood of our children run through our streets. We're tired of seeing our children afraid to even go to school and to sit in a classroom. We're tired of hearing talk about teachers organizing and arming themselves just to protect themselves and their students. This is madness, America. It's madness that the church needs to face, law enforcement needs to face, elected officials need to face, parents need to face. This madness needs to cease. And we're pulling the community together. And we want to thank again Black Push for all of its efforts to pull us together so that we can look down the road long term and see how we can stop this madness. I believe that we have the capacity to do so. I believe that we will do so. And I'm looking forward to Saturday, September the 10th, so that we can come together with the United States Attorney Buchanan, so that we can create a roundtable moving forward so that we can stop the madness of gun violence. Let us not concede that this is normal. This is very abnormal, and it has to stop, and it needs to stop now.
Good morning. I am Sandra Lee Williams, and I am here representing organized labor. I'm a proud member of the Retail Wholesale Department Store Union, as well as the Atlanta North Georgia Labor Council. And what you've heard from the speakers before me is that we are coming together collectively to work with community, to work with labor, to work with faith on a solution, and to come together to talk about the issue of gun violence. As I represent working families, certainly we all know that working families are impacted by the gun violence we see in our communities. There is not one day that someone is not shot, not just in Georgia, but throughout the United States. This is an opportunity for us to not only amplify this issue and to raise awareness, but we have adopted the philosophy that it takes a village, not only to raise a child, but to address this issue of gun violence that is taking our children. So often, conflict resolution is not used, and the first thing that people go to is a gun to resolve an issue. We know the frustrations of high unemployment. We know the frustrations of the pandemic and the isolation that people felt over the last couple of years. But we also now have an opportunity to come together to address that. And not one person can do that alone. We need to work collectively. We also know that we live in a state where the governor decided that it was in good judgment to allow people to have a gun without even asking for a mental health background check or any kind of check. So you don't have to have a check here in the state of Georgia to purchase a gun. Now, a lot would like for you to believe that law-abiding citizens are the only folks out there that purchase guns and that everyone else gets guns illegally. We simply know that that is not true. We also know that it is affecting our children. In the last year, we have had any number of children killed by guns. Just this past weekend, a 17-year-old child was killed when an argument ensued. Not one adult was killed. That gunshot hit that 7-year-old baby. So we know it's incumbent upon us to work together to stop this ill in our society. And we think the best way to do that is to work collectively with clergy, with community, and with labor. So I thank you, and I thank Black Push for pulling this opportunity for us to speak on this issue together.
I'm going to close out. My name is Sean. I represent Black Push as the president and founder of Black Push. I do want to point out that we have a whole bunch of community partners that are part of this movement today, and I want to point some of them out who stands. Up here with me, we have Hope Hustlers, who's with us today. We also have Change in the Face of Justice, who's also partnered with us, the NAACP of Atlanta, that's also partnered with us, First Iconium Baptist Church that has partnered with us. We have Concerned Black Clergy that has partnered with us. And we also have the labor union that has partnered with us, which is amazing because this gives us opportunity today to kind of see that this issue is not one that is just going to be dealt with in the church. It's not going to be one that's just dealt with on the streets. It's not going to be one that just is dealt with through community organizations, but it's going to take a collective effort. It has to be collective. It has to be interfaith because guns and bullets don't target just a certain group or a certain religion or a certain class of people. It targets all of us. Reverend Mack pointed out some stats, and I want to throw out one. As you guys know, one of the most recent ones here in the city of Atlanta was on August 29th. There was a 7-year-old female who sustained a gunshot wound who was killed by a bullet going to a family event. We know that in the last month and a half, Black Push has taken initiative. We traveled from Uvalde to Buffalo to Wisconsin to Highland, Chicago, where we've met with family members who have been impacted by gun violence. And we have to be honest with ourselves to think that just when the incident happens or when a family member buries their family, that it stops there. There's a long-term effect to gun violence. There's a mental health aspect that deals with gun violence. And collectively, we come here today to say we don't have all the answers. We don't have all the solutions. But we have a community that does have the answers. We have a community that does have some solutions. We have youth who are being impacted every single day who have answers and solutions to this. So we're summoning, and our call today is that we want to work with everybody in the city of Atlanta. We want to work with the city government, law enforcement. It has to be a collective group. It has to be a collective effort. So September 10th, we'll be hosting a Gun Violence Roundtable with all of our partners here as well as so many other partners. And we'll be here at First Iconium on September 10th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. to not only talk about the issue at hand, but let's come up with some solutions. We will have people there from different government agencies, from the federal government, the local government, state government, different district attorneys from around the state will also be there. And it's going to be a collective effort. And we're also going to have youth that will be able to come and actually talk about people who are actually in gangs now, that will be able to come and talk about how they got into this perspective and how we have gotten to this place. And it will be a collective dialogue. So I am honored to stand here with the men and women who stand behind me as we pursue this mission. Our message today is clear, that it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us to stand up, and it's going to take all of us to be bold, and it's going to call for a certain level of boldness and a certain level of people who are willing to stand up for our children, not only our children, our youth, our communities. It should be no reason why a black person should be afraid to walk into a grocery store in the neighborhood, not knowing if they're going to make it home. It should be no reason why a person should be able to go to church on Sunday and be worried about if they're going to make it home. There should be no reason why a person should go into a hospital for a surgery and be concerned if they're going to make it home. There should be no reason why students should go to school and the most important drill they do in school is not a fire drill, but it's a gun violence drill to make sure that they're ready in case an active shooter comes into their school. This is a disgrace to us as a nation, and we have to do better, and we will start here. And that's the reason why I'm so proud of this coalition, because we're diverse from different backgrounds, different age groups, but we will make sure that not only can we make a difference in gun violence in the city of Atlanta, in the state of Georgia, in the country, we will make a difference with gun violence because we have too many people who are losing their lives, And we are honored to have anybody who wants to partner with us, please go to our website, www.blackpush.org. Reach out to us. We can send you a form where you can partner with us, join us in this collective agreement because the work is bigger than all of us. And we like to say at Black Push, Sean Reed's quote, not mine, but the mission is bigger than us all. So we are honored to have you guys and honored to have everybody a part of this journey as we get ready to pursue this. And join us on September 10th, 11 to 2, and let's begin. I understand that people say all the time that we're tired of talking about it, but I want to be realistic and I want to be blunt. We can't start doing the work until we start having the conversation. And the conversations are important. So next week on the 10th, we'll have the conversation, but then right after we have the conversation, let's make it clear, we will get to work. So we need you to partner with us to do this and make sure that we protect our families, we protect our mothers, our brothers, our sisters, and our children. Thank you guys for attending. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for being a part of this today. And as we say, let's get to work.
Right now, Barbara, are there any questions that did not cover that you think that we need to cover, Ricky? Or will ask us questions, time to check everybody.